What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. BobbyFi with my man Eric Sheets Haber. We have Sheets is looks like he's ground in there with all the snow behind him, and
Yep,
we got no football this weekend. So I'm ready to get back to basketball. Sheets. I miss basketball.
absolutely. Fortunately, since I'm actually working out of home today, what happens? My phone doesn't ring quite as often here, even though I do get it forwarded sometimes. So I got time to try to delve into this. I actually have a couple of, I don't say rants, but like good rants or whatever it is. I had some content provider rants. I had a lot of stuff. Maybe I get to, maybe I don't.
Go for it.
But first, before I even get to it, I did want to give one observation, just on projections and contents and ownership projections. If I forget when we do golf later this week, I will say that the golf ownership projections, that's the only thing I really care about is the ownership projections, because projections themselves, if you like compare results to projections, that don't really mean anything, because median is just whatever. But the ownership projections in golf, just basically across the industry, were just freaking super sharp. I mean, like, there were only really very, very few golfers that they missed. And so what that means is that pretty much anybody, any like reputable ownership producer or whatever, is pretty freaking good as far as golf goes. There are only two guys, like Zalatoris and one other guy, were the only ones that really just had any meaningful difference, which is a huge thing, over 150 golfers. And so that's one thing. The other thing I wanted to mention is, as you guys know, I have been tracking NBA ownership projections and projections in general across the board. And one thing I would like to comment on is I've tried to actually look at like what types of guys get over or under projected as far as ownership goes as well. And one thing I will say, and Bobby, you kind of, I think, knew this instinctively, but the kind of chalky value guys, right? Like your Ingalls from last week, and your I don't know, I don't want to say Whites, but other guys like that. Those guys always come in,
Way
or
higher.
not always, much higher owned than are projected. Even like the guys that are projected like 40%, they like always come in at 60. And that doesn't mean they're over them, because we've talked about this a lot. There's sometimes these guys come in at 60 where we think they should be 100, but I'm just saying that if you are going to just kind of make value judgments or make judgments based on ownership, don't just presume that if a guy's like, ooh, this value guy, they only have him 30%, he should be like 50, probably is going to end up being 50. You know what I mean? Like those types of guys I've found are pretty under projected as far as ownership goes. And you realize that has to come from somewhere, right? So what I also found is like the top high guys are always over projected. Like you'll get guys like Jokic and guys like that end up going off like 7-8% because of the way the slates break out, where they end up being projected 15% or so on, across the board. So again, I don't know how to exactly you should be capitalizing on that, but if you are the type of person that says, okay, boy, oh boy, Jokic, I would play him, but he is getting more ownership than whatever. He is getting 15%. Usually they come in a little bit lower. And likewise, if you're aiming for those value plays that are high owned, they're probably going to end up higher. That's just it's only been like a month and a half I've been doing it, since the NBA season started or whatever. Those are my conclusions, at least from here. And you're probably like, duh, I've known that for 5 years, right? But that's like me just actually looking at it.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I hear you. Well, let's get into it. Let's get into the actual games. We'll go game by game, starting off.
Oh, and we got a problem. This really sucks. So I wasn't gonna play the.
Oh, you are all over the hockey, huh?
Well, I always save it, whatever. But I wasn't gonna play the 888 today. Mm-hmm. And then I just looked at my emails, and I see that I have 888 unread emails in one of my folders. I don't think I can pass. these are the things that kind of like drive me. Okay, so let's I have really good idea of what the slate's all about, given the way it stands right now, right? I mean, obviously things can change, but I want to really just, you know, when I go through these things with you and when I do things on my own and when we do things with live thing, again, I really want to make sure that I'm giving the type of content that I wanted to right from the beginning, and not to go on too much of a rant, whatever. But you know the kind of content that's bothering me right now. The kind of content that's bothering me right now is the kind that pretends to be one thing but it is something else. Okay, so like there's different types of players that are looking for different things, and there are different type of content providers that give different types of things. And like me, I want to come off when I give this, I want you guys to look at me as like someone who's playing. You know what I mean? Like I want you to come and say, this is the way I am doing it, because this is my process. That's why I sometimes refer to other content people, because that's the way what I do. I rely on other content people. That's why I throw out stuff like SaberSim when I say, oh, I'm going to do SaberSim, because I want you to see what my process is. And that's, I always want you to look at me, not so much as a guy that, you know, is giving me plays or giving me whatever, although I'll do that, but I'm doing it from the terms of a player. The guys that are bothering me right now are the people that are coming off as a little bit intellectual and smart, and when they're really just kind of like not. Like there are guys out there that I'll give a good example. This is one of the original guys that I really, really loved. And I still like him. The guy, I don't know his real name, but his name is like Beer Fan or something on draft on Roto Grinders, Chris something or other. And he is awesome, man. When I watch content, he gives out 6 picks. He's like, dude, I like this, I like this, I like that. And I know where I'm getting from him. You know what I mean? These are just his 6 picks. I don't even know if he's like really how much research he's doing or whatever it is. Like, dude, I like this guy, I like this guy, I like that guy. And I know what I was getting from him, you know, when I was looking at that. And to me, that's totally chill and totally cool. And there are other like guys like that that'll give me like good, you know, here's my top picks, you know, it's kind of feeling this, kind of feeling that. And as long as I know that's what I'm getting, that's whatever. And then there are other types of content providers that are just getting really into like the nuts and bolts of the underlying projections. And I think the Pro Football Focus guys and like guys like that, you know, getting really into it. And if you wanted to research that way, then you go to somebody like that. But there have been people that are just coming off as like a little bit too smart for their own good, sort of, that are talking about, you know, basically theoretical shit that they have no idea what they're talking about in the name of trying to act smarter than they are. And I don't really want to call people honestly, but no, but that's been my because they're like people who people really like and they're really smart, and I just, you know, I'm just too old for this shit as far as like calling people out. I just wanted to say that there's a lot of content out there, and just make sure that the type of what you're looking for is what you're getting. You know what I mean? And I know it's kind of hard to tell sometimes, but you know, when you're looking with us, I mean, I can promise you that you're gonna get transparency from me. And yeah, there are going to be times where I say, dude, this is just who I like. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I just always felt as though, I don't say honesty is the way I'm going to describe it, but like at least honest with respect to my approach. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to come off as like, when you say, like, sometimes you say to me, dude, how many minutes you haven't projected for? I'm like, honestly, I really don't do that. I look at other people's minutes and then I just, you know, just go operate on projections. And when I, you know, and because I don't think that anybody can do everything. I don't think anybody can do it all. But that's my rant. It could have been worse, I suppose. But that was just bothered me just a little.
We're good. Let's get into it.
All right. Sorry. So my initial thoughts on today's slate is there, you know, a couple of games that I think are pretty stackable, and a couple of games also that are kind of like filled with good plays. You know, and for me, it's not always the same thing. You know, like if you're filled with good plays, maybe they're not stackable, you know? And so when we go through this, I want to just, again, I know where I'm going to end up. I think I know, and we'll get into live, we'll do more of that. But I think I know what my kind of like plays are, and I think I know the games I'm going to stack, and we'll get through it. So you want to just start with game by game, and then we'll just
go game by game. Yeah.
Okay. So Lakers, Atlanta. If anything, I'm going to try to do a tray with AD, right? If I did anything, I don't really like any of the individual plays in this game too much. I thought about, again, you look for it, and if all these guys are out, you want to play Cam Reddish or something like that, I suppose you could do that, but he's not that big a deal for me. For me, like the best plays, and I don't even like him that much, are AD and Trey. But what I would do, like I said, is even though I don't like them that much, I would probably put them two together. You know what I mean? Like I'll play a Trey and AD together, but I don't think I would play them individually. And so that's the way I look at it. I'm like, if someone's a good play by themselves, I'll play them by themselves. But if someone's just good enough that I'll play them if there's good correlation, that's where I'm at. Now, again, I didn't mention LeBron just because I just don't like him quite as much. But just again, as far as just approach goes, AD's my favorite from the Lakers and Trey's my favorite from Atlanta. So I'll play the two of them together, but I wouldn't go out of my way to play anybody individually. That's my view of this game, and that's it.
Yeah, I understand that. I pretty much agree. Same thing. But I do have interest in Trey just on his own. I think that like the number of 50-point games have got to at some point you got to start paying attention. I'm not going to go to Capella today. It's not the right matchup. The price is high, but it's pretty much just Trey for me in this game. I don't mind LeBron or AD as a run back, but I prefer AD just like you. So yeah, it's not a great matchup for anybody, but Trey is my favorite play in the game.
What do you think of Cam Reddish? I think he's going to get a lot of love. I'm not quite as sold on him as a lot of people might be.
He is really cheap, but we've got other plays we can compare.
Okay.
Him coming up. But he's on my list. Like he's not. The minutes and the price make it really interesting, but there's other plays too.
Okay. You want to move ahead to Charlotte?
Yeah. Let's go to Charlotte, Milwaukee. Or sorry, Charlotte, Miami.
So I didn't take quite a good advantage of this as I could have, but what's his name? And this is another again, this is an ownership thing that I've talked about for a long time. Is that the weekends you just find holes in it, and I really honestly thought that LaMelo was going to be like 50% on the other day at his price. I thought both Lonzos were going to. Both balls were going to, and LaMelo actually came in the bigger ones like 19% or something like that, and he just destroyed.
They both did.
What's that?
They both did.
I know they both, and they just destroyed. And I had a couple of lineups with him and Giannis. Yeah, so I guess the news on this game is the questionable status of Terry Rozier, and if he's out, it actually it's interesting. So if Terry first of all, if Terry Rozier is in, the only guy I like on this in the game is probably Zeller. But if he's out, we got to really talk about what's going to happen. Like, is LaMelo going to start if Rozier is out? And if so, is that a good thing, right? Is LaMelo the guy that we want playing 35 minutes starting or 31 minutes off the bench, right? At lower ownership. I say lower ownership, whatever. But I don't know. So we're gonna have to think about that. That was my initial take from Charlotte. And again, I like Zeller again. To me, it's unfortunately going to become a common thing. I mean, I'm going to probably just once again go the same split between Zeller and Whiteside as my cheaper center until it doesn't work. So I do like Zeller as my favorite Charlotte guy. Then I got to watch the news because then if Rozier's out, then you could either play ball, or you can go ahead and just play Devontae Graham or something like that. I mean that probably works too. Miami is just kind of a shit show. You just got to wait for the news and see who's playing and who isn't. I really don't even want to speculate Miami right now.
Yeah, I don't really see the reason to get involved with Miami unless there's some injuries, personally. And I don't love this game. Cody Zeller is going to be really, really popular. That's fine. I mean, I don't know. My initial thinking is it's early still. My initial thinking is that I'll just be way below the field on him. This is a terrible matchup. He's terrible.
I love it. That's great.
I mean, I don't know what to say. And like while he's had some minutes, like I don't like it, I don't know.
I don't think he's getting 15 rebounds against Bam, basically.
It's going to be tough. Yeah, he had 15 and 14 against Milwaukee and Indiana those 2 games. He also did nothing against Indiana the other time they played. I don't know. He makes sense as value right now, but hopefully we find some other ways.
Fair enough.
All right.
What about the LaMelo thing?
LaMelo's interesting. Like, it's not a good matchup. It's, I don't see the reason to jump up and pay 6.5 for him here. It's basically where I am. I don't really have.
Oh, all right, good. I was expecting to get a whole big thing about LaMelo.
I love LaMelo. He's always a great tournament play, but when people start to get on him and he's expensive, if there's no Rozier, obviously everything opens up. Graham, Hayward, all of these guys are in play. To be honest, the best play in this game is probably somewhere between, at this moment, PJ Washington and Miles Bridges. I don't think you need to play either of these guys. I don't like this game very much. Miles Bridges, no one will ever play him for some reason. He's literally 0.5% owned every slate I play him. And he does fine. Now he's a little bit more expensive. Still got an upside. It's not the right matchup. I just don't like this game.
Okay.
Ready to move on to the next one?
Yeah. I'm not going to get too much from this game, actually. I mean, I guess that I guess that I probably should do something with Levine and Randall.
How about Mitch Rob?
What's that?
Oh, Mitch Rob, he's like free.
Has he done anything?
Not lately, but it's a pretty good matchup.
I mean, has he done anything the whole season?
I mean, he's 5,200. It's not like he has to do that much. You have him versus Zeller. He does more than Zeller does usually. It's just weird to me when I see one guy who, like, early projections, probably Zeller looks like a 50% owned guy. Mitch Robinson looks like a 5%, 2% owned guy. And I look at Mitch Robinson as the better play.
Well, then that's easy then. I mean,
that's easy, right? Exactly. Makes the game really easy. I like Mitch Robinson. I do. I think it's a really, really good matchup. He's 5.2. He costs nothing. I know he's struggled a little bit lately. He's gotten in foul trouble a couple times. Those have been slower, plotting, better teams. I mean, you had Utah, obviously Gobert, Cleveland with 700 centers, and then the Clippers, who just are a slower, good defensive team. I think that you can expect a lot more production out of him than he's shown lately. And the Bulls are wild. They turn it over, and and they leak offensive and defensive rebounds to the center position. So I'm interested in Mitch Rob.
You like Randall or Levine or no?
I like Randall. I mean, what are we going to do with this Elf Payton situation? Can we just talk about this for a second?
Yeah.
Are they just not going to play him anymore?
Yeah, they're going to start him, and then
Quigley
will get the better usage and the better minutes, and eventually Quigley will start.
Yeah.
And eventually,
it seems like that's what's going to happen. It's just
you can't play Payton right now.
It's just hard at 4.4 not to like have some interest. But I hear you. I understand. And I mean, it's weird because it's not very like him to like stagger these minutes like they're doing with players. But they are playing only basically Randall and Barrett the minutes, and everybody else is sort of fluctuating. Mitch Rob, he sort of has them, but yeah, I guess we just have to stay away then. I mean, it sucks because it's a really good matchup and they're just spreading the minutes out. So it's Mitch Rob, Randall. Randall's definitely in play, obviously. And Levine. I don't really know where else to go in this game.
Maybe you're onto something though. I mean, coaches can get fooled sometimes. Not I want to say fooled sometimes, but this is a really, really good matchup. And if Payton is playing really, really well, I mean, or it might not even look like he might be just playing average, but he might end up with a lot of stuff going on because he's playing in Chicago, right? And maybe he gets the run at 4,400. Maybe you're right. 4,400 really, that's not a lot for a starting point guard.
No, it's pretty crazy, but it's also like if he doesn't keep getting the 20 minutes, it's not going to be worth it. But Yeah, with Austin Rivers, but maybe look, if you hear like Bullock or Rivers or somebody's out, then maybe you do it. But I don't know if you really can though, because it is hard. They are splitting up the minutes between these guys, all of them.
Yeah.
But if anybody's out, that should mean like somebody should have an influx of minutes, and I would guess Peyton would be the first one.
Yeah, I don't know. Like you said,
All right.
he's been on the doghouse the whole year pretty much, and
Yeah, I know. It's not exciting. I'm just trying to think of creative ways. It's not a very big slate, so I'm trying to think of creative ways to get around it. You ready to get to the next one?
yep.
All right, let's do it.
So, I mean, for me, it was D'Angelo Russell, and then
Oh, he's
then
so cheap.
and then yeah, and then Drummond and what's his face and Sexton.
Yeah. God, this slate is weird. I don't really like anything. I like Jaden McDaniels. I played him last night too. I know he didn't have.
Did he do anything? 'Cause I always end up getting him.
He's cheap, and like against a bigger team, he should get minutes. He played 20 minutes last night. He had 16 fantasy points, 16.7. It wasn't like anything great. He's still been on all of my best lineups lately. So just because I mean, like literally, he's cheap and he fills in. I imagine he'll play 20 to 24 minutes tonight. Maybe he has a little bit of upside on that. I'm not sure that Russell's going to play, and that's where this game becomes interesting if he doesn't.
Why wouldn't he play?
It's a back-to-back, and he's on a minutes restriction anyway, already coming off an injury. Doesn't seem like a logical place to play him for a team that's tanking with the quad issue. So maybe he will. If he doesn't, Rubio, that's pretty much it.
I'm really not going to be happy if he doesn't play.
There's really not. You love him that much?
No, but I mean, I like him a lot, but not only that, but then you just got to deal with all this other stuff,
Yeah, the on the other side, the Sexland situation is weird. I still think Garland is probably a little bit too cheap. I know he hasn't been playing great. And Sexton feels cheap too in this matchup, but they both did nothing last night in the same thing. I still think they're too cheap. So
why is Drummond not going to get 60 again?
So it's minutes, isn't it?
I know he played 33 yesterday.
I know we anytime they want to just open that door and just play Drummond that weird, because he's been pretty consistently under 30.
It's the same game, the same team. I mean,
yeah, but it's not like they need size against. I don't know what's going on with that. I definitely have some interest in Drummond. It's ridiculously cheap, and even in 28 minutes he can get there. Yeah, so I would rank them. I guess Drummond is a little bit ahead of Sexton and Garland, but they're all three in play for me. And if you're desperate, I don't mind Okoro either.
I mean, I also feel as though, I mean, people are worried about Drummond on a back-to-back. I think people still think he's 35.
I'll let you think he's 35, Sheets.
No, I mean, he's still young. I mean, he can play back-to-back. What's wrong with this? I mean, like, it's not like anybody's guarding from Minnesota. It's like playing against nobody. It's like, it's different.
No, it's true. Fair enough. All right, you ready to move to the next one?
Yeah. So Covington is cheap, which is great until you play him.
Yeah.
And then Giannis and Lillard are good. And Giannis has been playing 35 minutes. He's going to keep scoring 70 plus fantasy points every game if he's going to keep getting these minutes somehow.
Yeah, these minutes are not a fluke.
I'm going to play a lineup with. I know that both these guys that have cost a lot of money, but I'm going to play a lineup with Giannis and Lillard. Why not? They could combine for 150 pretty easily.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to go anywhere else in this game. But yeah, I'll try it. I mean, so Covington is the cheapie, and then Giannis and Lillard, and just I think you can make it work. I fiddle around with it. I mean, there's not a lot of 3K value, but there's a certain amount of low 4K value that can make this all work.
Yeah, you've got like, I mean, first of all, you could use Simons, who's in this game also.
I didn't even think of that.
The minutes are like really have been there for him. No interest in Lillard for me at the moment. Maybe I'll change my tune later on. I doubt it. I don't really like him.
This is what's his name, right?
It's true.
You know what? I mentioned this the other day, right?
It's true.
I'm not playing it. You're right. I'm totally Xing him. Totally not playing it.
Especially in a regular season game, like where he doesn't like need, like, I think they're going to get rocked. I really do. I think Portland gets absolutely just slammed in this game.
Yep.
I also, Gary Trent's going to play 37 minutes. What is going on?
But he's not going to make 10 threes a game.
I don't understand how that is even a projection. Look, the long shot play is Carmelo. That's your guy. It's not that long of a shot. And Anthony Simons. Those are the two guys you want to look at here.
Well, the one thing I will say about Trent is that, I mean, it's exactly the guy you want against Milwaukee.
Kind of. I mean, the thing is, like, it's not like standstill jump shooters always just kill Milwaukee or anything. I mean, Gary Trent is not a guy anybody wants at 5,700. Like,
no,
we can't play him.
No.
The sneaky plays in this game are both going to be off the bench, and it's Harry Giles and
Bobby Portis.
Bobby Portis. That's pretty much my interest in this.
Just the blowout run special, huh?
And I love Giannis. I do think Giannis is a terrific play. I don't think I can get to Middleton at 8,500. Drew's a little bit more expensive than I want to pay. DiVincenzo's cheap enough. You could play DiVincenzo. The question is, if you're gonna play Giannis and you want to run it back and you're not gonna play Lillard, I mean, Cantor has been smashing and he looks good. Like, they're playing him the minutes. It still something about it doesn't sit right with me.
I think you play Giannis to get 60 and 3/4. That's
Giannis. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, his price is just too cheap. He's going to put up 60.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, even if the game will blow out, I really have a feeling Milwaukee's going to blow them out. Although they haven't looked right lately.
You think Giannis is you think Giannis will score more points than Luka probably, right?
They're both too cheap. That's all I can say.
Okay.
I don't know. I like Luka too.
Okay.
All right, you ready to move on?
Yeah.
All right, Sacramento and New Orleans.
It's a good 2,000 point total.
Your guy Whiteside.
Yep, it's a 2,000 point total. It's a close game, and a lot of good plays in this game. Starting with Sacramento. Yeah. So again, as I alluded to earlier, Whiteside and Zeller are the two value centers, and you gave a really good pivot off of Zeller and Mitch Rob, but Whiteside, as long as Bjelica remains out, leaving Sacramento very few options, he's going to be getting between 17 and 20 minutes, right? 16 to 20 minutes. They moved him up. He's not like 3K. But 3,600, I mean, I think that's perfectly reasonable. So I'm definitely gonna, definitely be playing him. But there's other guys. I mean, so Sacramento, I think this whole game is just filled with good plays. I think that Fox is fine. I think that Halliburton is really cheap. And I like a guy I never play. I like Barnes. I like all of them. And then I didn't get to Hield, but you can try to talk me into him. I didn't get to Holmes, but you could try to talk me into him. But I like those other guys. And then on New Orleans, I mean, Sacramento, you always play guys against Sacramento, and it's they're all going to look good, man. I mean, Lonzo, Ingram, Zion. You got to watch the Steven Adams news. If he's out, then you got Melly stuff or what's his name, or Jackson Hayes stuff that you can do. You could play.
Let's get into that for a second.
Yeah.
If Steven Adams is out, it does change everything.
Okay.
While Whiteside might get some run, I don't think he's as like a lock to get run if Steven Adams is out.
Because they won't need him, you think?
Yeah, like I mean, like
Yeah, but who are they going to play?
anybody healed. I'm sorry,
No, who are they going to play at the 5?
Holmes and Bagley. Like they don't have it. There's no 5 on New
They're going to
Orleans.
play Bagley at the 5. I mean, when Holmes is sitting
Against who? Against. So they're going to put. So you're telling me with Zion as the 5, they're going to play. They're going to play Whiteside against him. That seems crazy.
Okay, that's
reckless. Jackson Hayes. They don't need Whiteside for any of these guys.
That's fair then. So we got to watch.
But I do like Whiteside. I just if he gets too high,
he's fine. I mean, like you know what I mean. He's fine. He's gonna be today. He's gonna be really high owned. Actually,
if you tell me Whiteside is gonna get on the court, I'm always gonna play Whiteside. That's the truth. That doesn't matter. You know what I mean? I don't understand why Lonzo Ball is just completely hated by these people who make these things. Lonzo Ball is like one of the best plays of the day.
He is, right?
Yeah. Nikhil Alexander Walker.
Yep.
I think he's going to start trending more and more in the right direction. I really like him here.
Yep.
I have less interest in Bledsoe, but it is the right kind of a matchup for him. And I like Zion and Ingram. I prefer Zion.
Yep. And that's where one of the things I was constructing. I was constructing these New Orleans Sacramento things with Ball with Zion, Ball with Ingram.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Sacramento, I was going to play Fox, and that's the problem though, is that my other favorite guys, I won't say off the bench, but I mean Halliburton will probably close too, so he's fine. But so I like Halliburton. I really like him. You turned me on to him like after like the second game of the season or whatever. Yeah. I really like him a lot. So I like Fox and Halliburton and some Whiteside and some Barnes. I think this, you know, I think it's all very logical. I think it stacks okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm totally in it.
Yeah, I agree with all that.
You like Barnes at all? You like Barnes at all?
Steven Adams. I don't think if I needed a guy at 6K, I would feel fine with it.
Okay, you wouldn't go out of your way to play him.
Probably would prefer to try to take the play of Bagley.
Okay.
There's a lot to unpack here with this team, and we really need to know what's going to happen on the other side with Steven Adams. But assuming that Adams plays, yeah, I like Fox fine. I don't think I'm going to play much of him. I like Halliburton. I like Whiteside a little bit. I think Bagley would be like the guy I would take a shot on, but I don't really like. I like the New Orleans side a lot better. I'd put it that way.
Halliburton's gonna be pretty chalky.
Yeah, I agree. And for honestly, he's given us good reason to be pretty chalky.
Yeah.
He was like 5% owned the other night, and at 4,800 against Toronto, and he put up 39, and I was like, what the hell is going on? Why is he 5% owned?
Yeah.
Anyway, we can move on if you want to.
So this is the next one that I'm gonna be stacking, just because these OKC guys are so freaking cheap. Well, among other things. So I like on the Houston side, I like Wall, and I like Christian Wood. And then on the OKC side, I mean, if you're gonna stack it, you gotta play Shea. And Shea looks good anyway, but these other guys are really, really cheap. So you're gonna get. What do you think of Lou Dort chalk day? That's an interesting question.
Are we sure it's going to happen that way? That he's going to be chalky?
No.
Probably will.
So he's 4,200. Bazley's at 5,100. You have even Diallo, who's a good price.
Yeah, I kind of love Lou Dort today, so it's hard.
So I think that for me, I'm going to be doing a decent amount of that. I'm going to be doing with Wall, with Shea, Wall and Wood with Shea and Bazley, and then the other guy I'll play the other dude. I'll play the Maladon also from OKC. I think all these guys are really, really cheap. I think they're all in play, and this is these two games, the Sac New Orleans game and the OKC. It's kind of silly when you think about it to make OKC game such a big part of what I'm doing, but they just make it too. The salaries on the cheaper guys make it just too easy for me.
Yeah, well, let's unpack that for 1 second though. Like, there's a reason why the salaries are this cheap.
Yeah.
Part of it is that they play a ton of bodies. These are not there aren't like a bunch of secured minutes for anyone out not named Shea.
Right.
And Dort is the next closest thing. That's why I like Dort. Bazley is going to get 30 minutes pretty much all the time.
I guess it's fair to say that Theo Maladon's not going to go 6 for 6 from 3 today, right?
Yeah, probably fair to say. I think
Okay.
Darius Baisley is probably the best play on this side.
Okay.
I do like Dort as well, but I think Baisley is actually like the best play.
And if you had to rank the other ones, Maladon, Dort, and Diallo, I guess you have to put Dort as the best play.
Maladon's probably the better play, but he's going to be more owned. So, well,
Oh, I don't think
don't
so. I think Dort's
I
going to
don't
be
think he
higher
will
owned than
be.
Maladon.
And you get the small forward eligibility with Dort. I like Dort a little bit better. They're close. I mean, Maladon should score more fantasy points.
Okay.
And it's sort of taken away a little bit of my Diallo love, which is kind of a shame.
You can't still play him?
What are we playing him for, man? Like,
I don't know.
I don't like playing guys who play 20 minutes, like
No.
a 22-minute cap and score
Okay.
20 fantasy points. Just,
All right, fair enough.
I mean, it's not even a good matchup. It's like I would like to try and find an excuse to because I like him a lot, but they don't play him enough minutes. And
Yeah,
Houston,
you
I agree.
got Dort's over 30 minutes every game.
Yeah, and Dort's always there. I agree, and especially in this kind of a matchup too, because with Oladipo and Wall out there, the problem is Dort's going to be just trying to lock down, but he'll take a bunch of threes. Or
You like anything on Houston?
Yeah, I like Wall. I'm watching Houston play. It's hard to figure out what's happening with these minutes exactly because they don't feel like they feel like they're letting them go, and then all of a sudden they just like hard cap it at the weirdest times. So Wall probably won't play 30 minutes. He hasn't played 30 minutes other than the one game. No, he had a couple of games early.
Can you play him then?
I don't really understand it, to be honest with you, Sheets. I really don't understand it. You lose all the other guys. You lose Harden. You have Wall, who's actually healthy and active and everything, and then you just cut all of his minutes out. I honestly don't know what they're doing.
Well, let me just again be really, really obvious for you. Okay.
Do it.
All right. They've won.
They've been good.
Games. They've won 4 games in a row.
They've been really good.
So I think they're going to do the same thing.
I agree. I totally agree with you. I still like Wall a little bit. Like nothing really changes for who I like or who I don't. They've looked great, by the way, and this sort of like I feel like Harden woke them up or something.
Well, Cam, are we allowed to do that? Are we allowed to play Wall if he's not going to play over 30 minutes? I mean,
doesn't seem advisable. It's a good question. I don't have a great answer for you.
Okay, fair enough.
I would concur with what you said though. Like maybe if Wall becomes massively like I do like Wall still, but maybe if he becomes like extreme chalk, maybe we're making a huge mistake because he hasn't played 30 minutes. Any of these games they've won. He still put up fine numbers, but not even ones you want. Like, I don't really want 35 fantasy points. I want 40 plus. You know what? Maybe that is the thing, is not playing as much Wall.
I think he's going to be very similarly owned as DeJounte Murray.
Ooh, well, then I would rather play DeJounte Murray.
That's my opinion.
Then I'd rather play DeJounte Murray. I mean, look, Wall, like the thing that's freaking me out is that if he ever for some reason plays these minutes that he was playing earlier in the season, like the 35, 36, 37 minutes, he's gonna smash.
Who do you like more? Similar ownership. Maybe Wall might be a little bit chalkier, but Wall or Sexton?
Wall would definitely be chalkier.
You think?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think Sexton probably has a higher ceiling if we think Wall is going to play less than 30 minutes.
How about another guy at 7K who's going to be chalkier probably than all of them? How about D'Angelo Russell?
I think I would take making me take like my least favorite player ever in a bad matchup. I'll take D'Angelo Russell.
Right.
It's as of right now.
Yeah, my point is, I mean, there's going to be a lot of guys in this range. So maybe if you do like Wall, you get him not that
What's
old.
freaking me out about the Wall thing is that it's not like he has like a minutes restriction. There's no hard cap. It feels
they're just not playing him.
They're just not playing him all the minutes. They're playing him.
But he's playing well when he's in there.
He's playing really well, and so is the team.
But you know what it is? I think they know that Oladipo can play point guard.
That's the truth. You're right. No, I mean, Oladipo plays point guard. You shift everything over a little bit. Eric Gordon comes in, and Eric Gordon is honestly, if there was one guy on this team that I could take to try and win a title with, like as my sixth man or fifth man or whatever, it'd be Eric Gordon.
Really?
Eric Gordon or PJ Tucker. Those are the best players on this team, in my opinion. I know it sounds really, really counter, whatever. This is not fantasy production. This is about real life. If you want to win a title, you play those guys. Those guys are winners. They're tough. I don't trust any of the other guys in terms of being winners.
I'll tell you who might not be a winner yet and might not be all that tough yet, but this Christian Wood's very good.
I've been saying this forever. Christian Wood is very good. Is he good at 8,900 on this slate? No.
I doubt it.
Yeah, we're not playing him at 8,900 on this slate at center only.
Okay, you want to move on to Phoenix Dallas?
Let's do it.
I hope Booker plays.
Yeah, it makes it a little bit easier, huh?
Booker plays. I don't want to play anybody in Phoenix. I presume that yeah, Kristoff is back in. He was just resting the other day, right? So with Kristoff back in, I don't want to play. Or maybe I do want to play. Ugh. You can talk me off. You can talk me about Josh Richardson. How about that?
No,
but I like Luka.
I refuse to talk you out for Josh Richardson.
I was going to talk me about Josh Richardson. But he and DFS would be the two guys I would be interested in value wise on Dallas. And then there's Luka, and then Richardson and him, and then Phoenix. I wasn't going to get to anybody.
Yeah, I'm really confused by watching Josh Richardson play. I don't know what happened to this guy. I feel like he just looks different, but I'm still going to take shots on him at 4K. I love. I'll do my one of Luka or Porzingis thing tonight. Porzingis has really been off, but also like there's been like fluctuating minutes, blowouts, bad matchups. There's a lot of stuff going on over there. He's still a guy at 76 and 7K on FanDuel that I expect to get 40 here more times than not, and that I expect to get 50 here plenty of the time. There aren't other guys who are as mispriced, I feel like, in like forward spots. You know, maybe you could say Sexton can get 40 or 50 here, or Russell or whatever, but at the forward spot, I really, really like Porzingis. Even though, again, not an ideal situation, but it doesn't matter. He's 7,600. It's too cheap. It's too cheap for Luka too. I would put Porzingis ahead of Luka because of the pricing thing. I still think that Luka is obviously a great play. It's just, I mean, it's just about what do you want to do with him and Giannis. Like,
I'm gonna probably split them up.
Yeah, that seems like an easy thing to do, but I feel like.
You feel like you have to take a stand with one of them, really?
No, I just feel like I mean, all the things would lean you towards Giannis. And there's other good guards on the slate, but I don't know. I'm curious where the ownership ends up. I feel like this is going to be, I guess what I'm getting at is I think Luka's going to end up sneakily low owned. And anytime that happens, you could be looking at 75, 80 at 10.8. And I think that's a great play. So if Luka ends up low owned, I like that. If Booker's back, I'm not really that interested in anybody like you from Phoenix. I would go right back to DeAndre Ayton.
So just for humor's sake, just only because I talked about him like several games ago. Did you see the Kaminsky game the other day?
Yeah, dude, I was pissed a little bit. I didn't have more of it. I actually I got on the train too, and I just didn't have more of it.
24 minutes, 44 fantasy points.
I know. What a beauty.
The hell is that?
Against Golden State, he just was on fire.
And then people ran him right back, and he's got nine minutes. Is that what happened?
That's what happens.
Yep. Well, that's what happens when instead of a 20-point game against Golden State or a close game against the team with no bigs, we could have put Ayton out there, kill people. I mean, it's
yeah.
Okay. Anything else or no?
Let's jump over to Memphis, San Antonio.
Yeah. So I like Ja. I like Murray. If you really want, I would say the ultimate GPP play, because I think I think people are smarter than this. But if you wanted to play DeRozan off of his worst game of his career, pretty much.
Oh, it was it was literally the worst game.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that. I don't think it's going to be particularly like sneaky. In other words, I think you're going to hear a lot of that. That you're going to hear DeRozan's still cheap, and I'm going to look past that last game. So it's not don't expect him to be like 1% owned or anything like that because of that. But I like so I was gonna say I like Ja and I like Murray, but you scared me a little bit the other day when I don't know if I ended up playing him or not, I forgot, but when you said that white back might kind of cut into him a little bit or whatever. He's still looking like a good play, so that's why I have to I have to bring him up. So I do like DeJounte Murray, and I do like Ja, and I don't think. Then my next best guy I think is in the game is Brandon Clark. Um, what do you think? That's my quick Cliff's notes this game.
Um, I like Brandon Clark. Derek White is going to. I mean, Derek White is like on the verge of being playable. He's not quite there
Ooh,
yet.
okay.
You know, the price isn't great and all this stuff. Yeah, I do think that he cuts into DeJounte Murray, and I don't think that I'm alone in that. I mean, you look at the one game with him back, DeJounte Murray's minutes went from in the low to mid 30s to 27. I
Yeah.
don't think DeJounte Murray is the same play that he was. I think
Yeah.
DeRozan's the better play now. I still like DeJounte Murray. I just don't think that he's quite, what we were getting him at before, too cheap consistently.
Yep.
And it should trickle down and affect everybody. But at the same time, Lonnie Walker looked pretty good. I don't know what I want to do with all these San Antonio pieces. I feel like I have mild interest in like everybody, but no real like concrete interest outside of DeRozan, and including Aldridge. So I think it's mostly DeRozan for me, and I really love Ja on the other side. I think that his minutes and production expectancy are way ahead of where the field has him at. I like Brandon Clark. And I think that people are not going to play Xavier Tillman because he's 4,800. I think that's a mistake. I think Xavier Tillman, if he plays 28 minutes, is going to put up 30 plus fantasy points. And maybe you need him, maybe you don't. I just think he's a solid play. And he's just because the price increase, don't freak out. He's still a really, really solid play. I know he only played 21 minutes in this matchup the other night. I still like him. Still put up 24. Every game that they've had, he's put up 24. That was his minimum game since they've been down Valanciunas. So I'm definitely going to have a little bit of interest there. But yeah, it's a little bit weird. I think mostly it's just simply Ja and DeRozan.
Want to see why Ja only had 28 minutes.
He's fine. He's not going to.
It's a weird 20. It's a weird though. I mean, it's not like
he just played 34 like 2 games before or 2 days before.
So I just look at the way that they play.
They do that a lot with him, by the way.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, he's always been a guy who gets these fluctuating minutes.
I mean, he played 6 minutes. He was 1 for 1 from the field. He made a 3. He had 4 assists. He came out at the 6-minute mark.
It's only about how the bench produces. It doesn't mean anything. It's only about. Well, I'll tell you. I mean, I can tell you exactly what it is. It's whether Desmond Bain, Tyus Jones, and Contra are playing well, and Anthony Melton, and they have a lot of good. I mean, Bain, Jones, and Melton especially. Those are good backups, and they're not exactly backups.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Okay, so here we go. So this is their normal rotation. They bring him in for 6 minutes. They took whatever. They have him close the quarter and start the next one, right? And then close at the very end. Fair enough. It looked like it was going to be the same thing in the second half, right? He comes in for 6 minutes, right? He comes out, closes the quarter, starts the next one. And then they brought him in to kind of close, but then the game was over. They lost by 20 points. So They probably took him out with like 3 minutes to go.
Right. So
they didn't need him. So, okay. I mean, that's what I want to look for. Okay.
Yeah.
So he was on track to play 32 or whatever.
Yeah.
But they just didn't need him at the end.
My personal take is that we should expect Ja to play 30 to 36 minutes tonight.
Because look who closed the game. Conchar, Bain, Tyus Jones, Jang, and Melton.
So they gave up a bunch, yeah.
So they
but also those guys can, like the thing with Jones and Melton and Bain, they're talented enough to where they can get on a run and it could limit his minutes. But that to me still has him around 32 to 34, like probably. There's somewhere between 30 and 36 is where he's going to be. I just don't know exactly what the number is going to be.
Did you Did you play the Kyle Anderson going back to San Antonio game?
Yes, I did.
Nice.
You know me, I can't help myself.
All right. You have anything else in this game?
Not really, no.
Speaking of when you can't help yourself, if you didn't like any or all of that, they've been waiting for it all year long, and it's finally here. It's Jeremy Grant, Mason Plumlee Revenge Day. Going back into Denver. So before we left, I don't know, man. It's okay. I'm not in straight projections. I'm not getting anybody on Detroit. What's his name? On Denver, not Luka. You know who I mean. Jokic. I mean, if he gets 32 minutes, he's going to score 75, I guess. And if he gets 26 minutes, he'll score 60 or something. So he's totally killing it. He's totally fine.
You know what's crazy? That game he had the other night, though, I felt like
it was amazing.
Like 175. Like it shouldn't have been. I actually felt like the numbers were wrong. I felt like he can't only have 77 fantasy points right now. He
tied his career high. Like when they took him out, Jamal Murray was like yelling to throw him back in.
Yeah.
The one guy I would say is he still cheap, Barton?
So why is Barton popping off for everybody today? Can I ask this question? I know
he's only 40. No, he shouldn't be. Okay, it's 4,800. I'm saying if he's still 4,100, I would say.
He's a good play. I actually like Barton, but I didn't expect him to be like. I'm looking at other sites here, and they've got him like as like the best play, and I'm just going, okay, maybe I missed something. I know he had a good game.
I got him as well. They're game log watching a little bit too, and they know he might get blowout run, but I think he's fine. I don't think he's even the best play on Denver. I mean, I don't even think he's the best value play on Denver. I like Jermichael Green more than him.
Okay, now we're talking. You play with Jermichael Green over Will Barton, and you're in business. Yeah. I still have mild interest in Barton. It's a sloppy defensive team, and you have no PJ.
I'll play your other guy, not your other guy. I'll play Monte Morris at
3,800. Excuse me, if Gary Harris is in fact out,
yeah,
everybody gets a giant bump. And I think
that's probably why Barton's going to end up popping.
I think he will be out, and I think that you're going to get like. I think you give a bump to like everybody. The problem with Denver is they're so deep and pretty comfortable at being deep.
You see you smashed the other day, the Composa.
I mean, I love, first of all, this guy, if you could give me this guy on my team, and no matter what team I would take him all day long. I love him.
He's a good player.
He plays tenaciously defensively. He's awesome.
Hey, but if Gary Harris is out, I don't know if it trickles down to this guy, but Monte Morris is 3,800.
It should, because we already have no what's his name? PJ Dozier.
Maybe you go back to the Facundo.
So Morris, who?
Campazzo.
I don't think I can do Campazzo.
Okay.
But Morris, maybe. I mean, it's not. Well, I don't think so. If with no Gary Harris, Morris, Millsap, Michael Porter. I mean, all these guys should get like little bumps.
They're going to put a beating on them, right?
What?
They're going to really put a beating on them, right?
You think so? But Detroit has been like sneaky competitive. Like they haven't been good, but they've been competitive. And I'm just taking a look real quick. The one thing that's throwing me off about the Jeremy Grant thing is that he just doesn't get there when Blake and Derrick Rose play ever. Like I need 50 out of this guy, and I'm certainly not going to get that with those guys playing. I don't think.
I think that I don't know what kind of guy he is, Jeremy Grant, but he's gonna shoot it 80 times if he can. I mean, he's
gonna probably do. You know what? Fine, I'll put him on my list.
And what about the Plumlee? No.
Yeah, I'm into Plumlee. It also works out well, like matchup wise, and he's obviously played these guys in practice.
You know what it also works out? It also works out that
we get these people who just go nuts every time Plumlee gets a second foul in our Discord. and they just go, "Oh, I'm done with Plumlee. I'll never play him again." And then he puts up like 34 or 36.
No. The
And I'm
reason,
like, "What are you guys doing?"
no. I'm going to tell you why. The reason why this is going to really make you happy. You don't forget, you play Plumlee, then that's like direct anti-Zeller. It's like perfect.
Okay.
Right? Isn't it the exact same price pretty much?
Yeah, I'm getting you. You play Plumlee and Mitchell Robinson.
Oh my goodness.
There you go. There's the.
And then you play Plumlee, Mr. Robinson. Then you watch Zeller get 16 minutes, and you watch Hassan Whiteside not getting the game.
Exactly.
Oh, that'd be so awesome.
By the way, you know what? I just want to make a quick statement. I think Josh Jackson is in it for the long haul now for the NBA. I was worried about him like being on the outside looking in. I think the guy's really good. And not really good, more so he's the guy I'd want on my team. I'd want him as my seventh man on a championship team. Like,
is he from Detroit?
Jackson, he went to school at
went to school at Kansas, but
yeah, I don't know where he's from, to be honest. I like him though. I think he's found his place, and I think that him as like a role player, he's going to be like the awesome spark plug role player for a long time. That's my issue with playing these guys from Detroit is they've got a bunch of guys who are just good players. Like Wayne Ellington leads the league in 3-point shooting right now. I'm sure most people don't realize that. You've got DeLon Wright, who's been playing like kind of out of his mind, to be honest, all year long, like really, really well. And then you've got Derrick Rose, who just can't get the minutes because these other guys. There's a lot of seemingly good plays here. In my opinion, when they're all healthy, Jeremy Grant has not been doing the damage when they've all been healthy. I like the revenge narrative. I like all that stuff, but I think I'm more leaning towards Plumlee a little bit as the play here.
I agree.
On the Denver side, I will have some Will Barton just because the minutes, especially if Gary Harris is out, it's just there's just too many minutes to go around. I'll have some Monte Morris. In fact, I think Monte Morris might become like a priority type of thing. And while these guys, now this won't benefit Gary Harris. I'm sorry, not Gary Harris. Jamal Murray. I do think Jamal Murray, well, he's still creeping in these little low numbers. I'm just going to read you his game log sheets just to prove that I'm not crazy. Okay, he's been in the same like price range forever. 40
another 7K point, another 7K guard.
Yeah, 40, 46, 17, 46, 43, 22, 28, 44, 31. You're basically getting half the games in well into the 40s. And by the way, there's upside on that. I mean, this is Jamal Murray still. We've seen him put up 80 fantasy point games. I'm just throwing it out there because I do feel like with a sloppy matchup like Detroit, you could see a lot of guys teeing off. Now, the problem I have with Jokic, while it's a great matchup and he's going to be great, it's just, do I play him over Luka and Giannis? And that's tough. Or do I play none of them? They're all really, really well priced, and you can't play all three of them.
I mean, I think that they're all. I think actually that all three of those are. I don't think any of them are particularly expensive.
They're all really well priced, like too cheap.
So I don't know if I could play none of them.
So okay, so that's an interesting question. Like, do we make a stand and just play one Jokic in every lineup? I don't know.
It's cheap. It's too wimpy to just play 33% of each of them.
No, I don't think that is. I think that's actually okay. I mean, one of Jokic. To me, I would lean a little bit more the other way. I would lean a little bit more Giannis and Luka.
And then you know what happens, right? Then you know who scores 75 fantasy points and probably the best matchup of them all.
It's fair enough, but at the same time,
well, you know what I'm going to say?
Who?
LeBron.
Yeah.
Against Atlanta. I mean, like, Jesus.
I mean, Atlanta's actually been pretty good defensively, by the way.
Okay.
But you're right, though. I mean, there is an argument for that. Like that, those guys are going to be completely forgotten about on this slate. Boy, oh boy, I'm still frustrated over last night. If I could have just gotten away from trying to play Kyrie and KD and Westbrook together. If I could have just gotten away from the Kyrie part of it, I would have had like the nut lineups. Anyway, but yeah, I do think you want to play one of those three guys in most of your lineups. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a good point you just made. And I do think that you want to get some Jamal Murray exposure in general. Like, just look, Jamal Murray is the same thing as Lonzo Ball, except for the minutes are secure. And he's going to put up his floor is much higher. just play Lonzo, play Jamal Murray until he's 8K, and he's not probably going to get to 8K because of.
No, he never gets to 8K.
But he's like, I mean, people forget this. Like he put up 7 out of 10 games in the postseason. What did he put up? 7 out of 10, I think, that were 70.
I don't understand what that was. I mean,
but he has that. That's how he plays.
The two guys, him and Mitchell. I mean, like I don't know what that was.
But that's who they are. The thing is, like Mitchell, they have a whole healthy team, and same thing with Murray. They've got a whole healthy team now, so it's a little different. But they're heat check guys. If they get going, they're gonna keep going. And sometimes it only leads to 45. But you know what? I would love 45 for 7,200. If I equal out to that percentage for everybody, I'm gonna win a fortune. You know, I don't know. I feel like Jamal Murray in this matchup is just, it's just such a. There's nobody to guard him. There's literally no way to guard him. So that's the only reason I would maybe lean the other guys over Jokic too. I like Jamal Murray in this matchup. I also think that the sneaky long shot 1,000,000-to-1 play, you play 5 to 10% of every day probably, is Michael Porter Jr.
I mean, the big glut is these 7K guards, right? Between, man, how many we mentioned between Murray, both Murrays, right? Russell, Wall, Sexton, DeRozan.
What's interesting about them all, though, is I can make really good arguments against all of them.
Yeah.
So that's enough of a reason where I don't feel like I need to, but I probably will have some lineups with all of them. One guy we didn't touch on, by the way, did we talk about Jaden McDaniels earlier?
Oh, yeah, I said that I kept coming up with him, and you just said he's really cheap.
Boy, you know what sucks for me is like watching basketball, he looks like a guy who can put up a million in no time, you know?
Yeah.
So I guess to re-highlight some of the things, I think that Whiteside is going to be extremely popular today, which is.
I don't need to play him as chalk.
As chalk, I don't think you do either. But again, if you miss him, like Whiteside's one of those guys. Like if you don't play him, he might put up 75.
But you know, it goes both ways. By the way, when you said what are you going to do? Play him against Zion? Here's another thing you don't think about. I mean, nobody is going to be able to guard Whiteside. And they just drop the ball down to him and he makes his freaking jump hook. It's like ridiculous. Like, so it goes both ways.
If Steven Adams plays, I would argue.
But your argument before, not your argument, but you were saying before that if Adams doesn't play, then they might not play Whiteside that much. But I think it goes both ways. While Whiteside's going to have defensive issues, becomes like impossible to stop offensively.
Yeah, I mean, if Sacramento is really investing their future in what Hassan Whiteside does offensively, then there's something wrong.
I don't mean their future. I just mean this game with no Adams and just.
No, I hear you.
20 minutes when Holmes is sitting.
No, I hear you. And the weird part is when they play him, you'd think that he was like the star getting like his 10, 20 minutes of run because they do feature him. Like they give him the ball. They're not messing around.
Right.
Yeah, I mean. Anyway, so Whiteside, I have Whiteside, Zeller, Dort, and Jaden McDaniels as my highest projected fantasy point per dollar. I would be very happy to skip most of those guys and just drop a little lower, go to DeMar DeRozan, Tyrese Halliburton, DeJounte Murray, all the Murrays actually, Enes Kanter, not Dorian Finney-Smith. More interested in.
So my top, again, since you brought him up, so my top 5 or 6 like point per dollar guys are like kind of in a little different order, but same thing. So Whiteside, Zeller, but I got like Halliburton like 3rd.
I like it. And by the way,
then you got a 4th and 5th. I have Russell and DeJounte Murray, and then I got really close to that whole tier is a guy you mentioned earlier is Lonzo.
What about Nickeil Alexander-Walker?
Yeah, that was the guy I wanted to ask you about. Do we need one of those guys to be out to play him, or can we play him anyway?
I don't think, I think that there's a turning of the guard and we should be ahead of this stuff. Like, I don't know why it came so late. I don't know why it's been so long. The thing that worries me is that he got Lonzo on the back, like the big game Walker had and the big minutes he had were on a back-to-back for Lonzo coming off an injury. So keep that in mind. So don't feel locked into that he's going to play 32 minutes. But he's been playing in the 20s every other game anyway. And to be just completely straightforward, it's kind of like put up or shut up time. Like, why wouldn't they play him? I don't really understand what they're doing. They should try to move Bledsoe and play a ton of So Nickeil Alexander-Walker, there's high variables here. There's a lot of things in play. There's a lot of guards on that team, but I do think that he might end up being the best play. Like, and again, we have Sacramento. We want to. I think that if there's one thing I can gather from all of this stuff we've done, is I think we need to be playing some of New Orleans. Like, no matter what else happens, I will dabble with everybody on New Orleans except for Jackson Hayes, probably, including Josh Hart, by the way. It's just a nut matchup.
No. Why do you not want to play Jackson Hayes if there's no Adams?
Oh, if there's no Adams, I'll play Jackson Hayes.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm just saying, like, I love.
I'll tell you something else, by the way. If Adams is playing, I like Adams also.
Yeah, if Adams is playing, the thing about Adams though is I'll just go back to it. I'm pretty good with this one, Sheets. Like yesterday, I was okay. So you always tell me about my Westbrook stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yesterday, I wrote in chat. I didn't even say for GPPs. I didn't say for anything like I usually do. I just said I love Westbrook tonight. I absolutely love Westbrook. Steven Adams, I have a pretty good feel for from all of his years with Westbrook. Yeah. The thing is that he doesn't really gain what you think he would in these up-paced matchups.
Right.
There's more possession, so you can argue he gets more rebounds. Steven Adams could put up 10 here and be played off the floor. Steven, if he plays. He also could put up 35 or 40. So it's just, I'm just saying there's not a whole lot of rhyme or reason. It's really
I had one other guy I want to mention because I brought him up and I don't know if you addressed him. I mentioned Jay Rich for a few minutes. Did you ever, do you consider Dorian Finney-Smith or not really?
It's not a guy I like playing, man.
No, me neither. Okay. No,
I would rather play Josh Richardson personally. But again, Dorian Finney-Smith, sure. With those minutes, there's always going to be an opportunity for success. He is cheap enough. He's in play for sure. I just think I'd give the edge to Josh Richardson. I mean, you could look at Dorian Finney-Smith's entire lifelong game long. You're going to find some 30s in there. You're going to find a whole lot of 10 to 15s.
Yeah.
That's and in 30 plus minutes, that's just what he does. And it's a bad matchup.
This Richardson thing is really interesting to me. Why all of a sudden why he's
he came back from the injury, so they lowered his price and his minutes weren't going to be the same. The expected production, it actually it lends itself to how he's been playing, but I don't think it's realistically, it just feels too low. The problem is Luka does dominate the ball so much.
And Hardaway, when he's in, he shoots the ball.
Hardaway will shoot the ball. But Josh Richardson is 4K and he's going to play a bunch of minutes. I would give the edge to Richardson. I like him. He can, I mean, look, I've had games with Josh Richardson where he took like 2 shots when he played in Miami and he had like 7 steals and 2 blocks on FanDuel, and I ended up making more money on FanDuel. He was crushing. You know what I mean?
This does match. It doesn't feel like one.
It doesn't feel like that one, but he is cheap. Like if you're going to play him or Dorian Finney-Smith, I mean, he took 11 shots. He's taken 2 shots in these last few games, you know?
I just got a feeling that between him and Finney-Smith and Dort and all these sub-4, I think like a decent amount of them get 10 fantasy points. I don't know which one.
I agree with you, but I think that there's going to be some of those that get 30 plus. If you had to bet on a 30 plus out of those guys, I think Dort.
Dude, Dort 4,200. I mean, like you play Peyton at 44 if you want.
It's tricky with Dort because. Well, this is what we're coming to. Well, we'll get better value later on for you guys, and we'll talk about that.
All
right.
In summary, though, I like to say I'm still where I was. I like the Sacramento game. I like the OKC Houston game, although the Sacramento New Orleans game, for obvious reasons, I just feel a lot more comfortable with. Because the Houston thing, the Wall thing is a little bit confusing to me. The which OKC guys I want are kind of confused. I want Shea, I want Baisley, but I'm not so sure about the Dort. Maybe I am sure. Maybe I am kind of sure about that. At least that side of it. But the Wall thing kind of concerns me a little bit. I'll play Wall and Oladipo will score 55. Right, that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But Sacramento, New Orleans.
By the way, a little revenge game for Oladipo, in case you haven't forgotten.
I did forget, actually.
And so it's a little revenge going back to OKC.
I didn't even know he played for OKC.
He played with Westbrook at OKC.
How long has he been in the league? Jesus Christ.
It's the weirdest thing. The guy is like like by all in every account of him is the awesomest, like the best guy. Everybody loves him.
Yeah.
He just doesn't. It's like his identity doesn't feel like it always fits in the NBA.
Yeah.
I don't really know what he is. He's really good. He's good at playing defense. He's good at scoring sometimes, kind of. But I don't really know what he is.
All right, so we're gonna look. We're gonna watch for Terry Rozier news, Miami news in general. Make sure Russell's playing. One of these days, by the way, they're just going to announce that Cat's starting without any
Like with no warning.
with no warning. They have him questionable. They have every right to say he's playing, right?
Well, you know what? Yeah, that's true. But the thing is, like, if he was like 5,800 or something, that would be different than if he's like full price.
And then again, I'm just going to scan once more time. The Portis Giles thing is kind of sneaky off the board. Not kind of sneaky.
Yeah, it is. No, it is.
Nobody's going to play.
I'm into that, Sheets. I think we could do some business with that. I really do. I think that one of those guys, if not both, there's a chance like both. If you play both those guys together and they get there, you're crushing. You're it. You've done it.
You know, the good thing is that because of what we talked about, I'm definitely not playing 888. I'm going to allocate that to probably like 50 excellent eights instead. I'm in.
Really? You're not in for the 888? Oh, you are.
I can't. I'm not sure. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know.
Well, it's a long ways away. We got some time.
You got time to talk me into it. I got you. All right. Sounds good.
All right, guys. Hey, for Sheets, I'm Bobby saying thanks for tuning in. We'll see you at the top.